the world's largest underground city. Deep beneath the surface of the Cappadocia region in Turkey lies Derinkuyu, an ancient multi-level underground city that could once house up to 20,000 people. It was carved out of soft volcanic rock thousands of years ago and reaches a depth of about 279 feet. The city was not just a series of caves, but a fully functioning society with living quarters, stable areas for livestock, churches, storage rooms, and even schools. It featured a massive ventilation system that provided fresh air to every level and heavy stone doors that could only be opened from the inside to protect the citizens from invaders. The heart of a shrimp is in its head. The anatomy of a shrimp is quite different from what you might expect for a living creature. Their heart is actually located inside their head, just behind their brain. In fact, most of their vital organs, including their stomach and even their reproductive organs, are located in their cephalothorax, which is the head and chest area protected by the hard shell. This design keeps their most important parts shielded by their thickest armor. Their tail is actually almost entirely muscle, which they use for quick bursts of speed to escape predators, while their head handles the heavy lifting of keeping the body running. In Mexico, there's a cave known as the Cave of Crystals that looks like it belongs on another planet. It contains some of the largest natural crystals ever found, with some beams of selenite measuring 39 feet long and weighing 55 tons. These crystals grew to such massive sizes because the cave was filled with mineral-rich water that stayed at a constant, very hot temperature for hundreds of thousands of years. The cave is so hot and humid that humans can only stay inside for a few minutes without specialized cooling suits, as the air would literally cause water to condense inside their lungs. The only bird that can fly both ways. Hummingbirds are incredible aerial acrobats and are the only birds in the world capable of flying backwards and even upside down. Their wing structure is different from other birds because their wings are attached to the body at a functional ball and socket joint. This allows the wings to rotate 180 degrees in all directions. Instead of just flapping up and down, hummingbirds move their wings in a figure-8 pattern. This creates lift on both the forward and backward strokes, allowing them to hover perfectly still in mid-air while they drink nectar from flowers. The electric power of eels. The electric eel is not actually an eel, but a type of knife fish, and it can generate a shock of up to 600 to 800 volts. This is enough power to knock a human unconscious or even kill a horse. The eel has 3 specialized organs that take up about 80% of its body. These organs are made of thousands of cells called electrocytes, which act like tiny batteries. When the eel spots prey or feels threatened, it triggers these cells to discharge all at once. It uses low-voltage pulses like radar to find its way in muddy water and high-voltage blasts to stun its dinner. If you walk through a damp forest at night, you might see a faint, eerie green light glowing from rotting logs. This phenomenon is known as foxfire, and it is caused by certain species of bioluminescent fungi. The fungi use a chemical reaction involving a substance called luciferin to produce light. Scientists believe this glow serves a purpose, such as attracting insects that crawl over the mushrooms and pick up spores. The insects then fly to other parts of the forest, helping the fungus spread its offspring to new locations. The metal teeth of limpets. Limpets are small sea snails that live on rocks in the ocean, and they possess the strongest biological material ever discovered. Their tiny teeth are made of a mineral called goethite, which is woven into a protein base. These teeth are so strong that they can scrape algae off solid rock without breaking. When scientists tested the strength of limpet teeth in a lab, they found the material is stronger than spider silk and even stronger than most man-made carbon fibers. This discovery has led engineers to study the structure of these teeth to see if they can create better materials for airplanes and racing cars. The way Saturn could float. Saturn is the second largest planet in our solar system and is famous for its beautiful rings, but it is surprisingly light for its size. The planet is mostly made of hydrogen and helium, which are the lightest elements in the universe. Because it is so gaseous and spread out, Saturn is actually less dense than water. This means that if you could find a bathtub large enough to hold the entire planet, Saturn would actually float on the surface rather than sink to the bottom. In contrast, Earth is the densest planet in the solar system and would sink like a stone. The blood of an Antarctic fish. In the freezing waters around Antarctica, there's a group of fish called ice fish that have evolved a very strange way to survive. The water is so cold that normal blood would freeze or become too thick to pump. Ice fish have no red blood cells and no hemoglobin, which is what makes human blood red. Instead, their blood is completely clear. They also have a natural antifreeze protein in their blood that prevents ice crystals from forming in their veins. Because they have no red blood cells, they absorb oxygen directly through their skin from the cold, oxygen-rich water. The reign of fish in Honduras. In the city of Yoro, Honduras, there is a famous weather event known as Lluvia de Peces, or the rain of fish. Residents claim that every year, during massive summer storms, hundreds of small silver fish fall from the sky onto the streets. While it sounds like a miracle, scientists have a few theories. The most likely explanation is that the heavy rain forces underground fish out of their burrows and onto the surface. Another theory is that waterspouts, which are like tornadoes over water, suck the fish out of nearby rivers and drop them over the city as the storm moves inland. The hidden ears of crickets. Crickets are known for the loud chirping sounds they make at night. But if you look at their heads, you will not find any ears. Instead, a cricket's ears are located on its front legs, just below the knees. These ears are tiny slits that lead to an internal air chamber. Because their ears are on their legs, they can detect the direction of a sound much better by simply moving their legs around. This helps them locate a mate or hide from a predator that is sneaking up on them in the grass. The memory of a slime mold. A slime mold is not an animal, a plant, or a fungus, but a single-celled organism that can grow to be quite large. Despite not having a brain or a nervous system, slime molds can solve complex problems. In experiments, scientists have seen slime molds find the shortest path through a maze to reach food. They even recreated the map of the Tokyo subway system by placing food at the locations of major cities. The slime mold grew its branches in the most efficient way possible, matching the real-life engineering of the train tracks. They remember where they have been by leaving behind a trail of slime that they know to avoid. The longevity of Greenland sharks. The Greenland shark is a slow-moving creature that lives in the deep, cold waters of the North Atlantic, and it is the longest living vertebrate on the planet. These sharks grow only about 1 centimeter per year and do not even reach adulthood until they are about 150 years old. Using carbon dating on the lenses of their eyes, scientists discovered that Greenland sharks can live for at least 400 years. This means there are sharks swimming in the ocean today that were born before the United States was even a country and were already alive when Galileo was studying the stars. The power of a Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap is one of the few plants in the world that can move quickly to catch its prey. Inside its mouth are tiny sensitive hairs. To avoid closing every time a raindrop or a piece of dust falls in, the plant has a built-in counting system. An insect must touch 2 different hairs within 20 seconds for the trap to snap shut. Once triggered, the trap closes in less than a second. The plant then counts more touches to make sure the prey is alive and worth the effort of digestion before it releases enzymes to turn the insect into a liquid meal. The only continent without reptiles. Reptiles like snakes, lizards, and turtles are cold-blooded, which means they rely on the environment to keep their bodies warm. Because of this, Antarctica is the only continent on Earth where you will find absolutely no reptiles. It is simply too cold for their bodies to function, and there is no liquid water for them to drink for most of the year. While every other continent, including the coldest parts of northern Canada and Russia, has at least one species of snake or lizard that can hibernate, Antarctica is a complete no-fly zone for the reptile family. The fact that peanuts grow underground. Despite their name, peanuts are not actually nuts. They are legumes, which means they are in the same family as beans and lentils. Unlike walnuts or almonds that grow on trees, peanuts have a very unusual way of growing. The plant produces flowers above ground, but once the flowers are pollinated, the stems bend down and actually push themselves into the soil. The peanut pods then develop and ripen entirely underground. When it is time for harvest, farmers have to dig up the entire plant and flip it over to let the peanuts dry out in the sun. The fact that sharks do not have bones. Even though sharks are large and powerful predators, they do not have a single bone in their entire bodies. Their skeletons are made entirely of cartilage, which is the same flexible material that makes up your ears and the tip of your nose. Cartilage is much lighter and more flexible than bone, which allows sharks to turn quickly in the water and stay buoyant without needing a swim bladder like other fish. The only parts of shark that are hard like bone are its teeth, which are strengthened with minerals so they can crush shells and bite through tough skin. The distance of the moon. The moon looks relatively close to Earth when you see it in the night sky, but the distance is actually quite vast. On average, the moon is about 238,855 miles away. To put that into perspective, you could take every single planet in our solar system, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and line them up side by side in the gap between the Earth and the moon. There would still be a little bit of extra room left over. This shows just how much empty space exists, even in our own local neighborhood of the universe. The incredible regenerative power of axolotls. The axolotl is a unique type of salamander that never grows up, remaining in its water-dwelling larval stage for its entire life. What makes it truly extraordinary is its ability to regrow almost any part of its body. If an axolotl loses a limb, a tail, or even parts of its heart and brain, it does not grow back a stump of scar tissue like a human would. Instead, it perfectly recreates the missing piece, including all the bones, muscles, and nerves. Scientists are studying these creatures intensely because their cells have the ability to turn back into stem cells and then transform into whatever specific type of cell the body needs to heal itself completely. The mysterious underwater circles. For years, divers off the coast of Japan were baffled by large, intricate geometric patterns carved into the sand on the ocean floor. These circles are about 7 feet wide and look like beautiful mandalas. It was eventually discovered that they are built by a tiny male pufferfish that is only about 5 inches long. He spends days swimming along the seafloor, using his fins to dig grooves and ridges. He even decorates the peaks of the ridges with shells and coral. The purpose of this massive engineering project is to attract a mate and provide a safe, cushioned place in the center for the female to lay her eggs. The surprising speed of a garden snail. While we usually use the word snail to describe something moving very slowly, their anatomy is quite impressive for their size. A snail moves by using a single muscular foot that creates a wave of motion from the back to the front to help it glide over rough surfaces without getting hurt. The snail produces a special kind of mucus or slime. This slime is a non-Newtonian fluid, meaning it acts like a solid when the snail pushes off, but turns into a liquid as it moves forward. This allows a snail to crawl over the edge of a sharp razor blade without getting a single cut. The secret way owls fly silently. Most birds make a flapping or whistling sound when they fly because of the air turbulence created by their wings. Owls have evolved specialized feathers that allow them to fly in almost total silence, which is how they sneak up on mice in the dark. The leading edge of their wing feathers has a comb-like fringe that breaks up the air into smaller, quieter streams. Additionally, the rest of their feathers are covered in a soft, downy velvet that absorbs any remaining sound. This combination makes them one of the most effective and quietest hunters in the animal kingdom.